at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be happy or not, bitch? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
how do you chase that happiness? You know, dig deep in yourself. What makes you happy? What really truly lights you up? Write those things down
Yeah.
and do them. If you don't do them, you're going to continue complaining for the rest of your fucking life.
Hi, and welcome to According to Weeze, the podcast. With me, your girl Weeze. This is a show where we're going to have candid conversations with the hopes of finding a way forward in community. See, fundamentally, I believe that we exist at the intersection of our complex identities, politics, and our sociocultural systems. And let's be real, the only way to dismantle it all is to dissect it. So get cozy, get comfy, and let's dive in. What's up, ladies and gentlemen and friends and NBs and everybody? What are two spirits? And I'm trying to do this thing where we're expanding, like I'm playing with it. I'm expanding my language beyond ladies and gentlemen and also beyond folks. I'm practicing like naming people so that everyone feels seen.
For sure.
Which I forget to tell people sometimes because they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm expanding my like the inclusion of my language. So
yeah, I'm all for it.
I should have told you that before, Celine. My bad. But anyways, hello everyone, all the beautiful humans. I am so thrilled for today's guest. I'm always thrilled for our guests because I get to be surrounded by really amazing people doing amazing things. But particularly because, well, I don't want to say who it is yet, but this person, we got to do the like, brrr. This person was supposed to be on a couple episodes ago when we were still doing a season model, life was lifing, but we made it happen and they are back. And today I have the one and only Celine.
Yes.
Coach Baddie.
Ooh.
In the flesh. How are you?
I am good. I am awesome. Feeling great. Yes. And to speak on, your inclusivity, I'm here for it. Like, that's, we are moving into that part of life where that's what we should do. Not everyone agrees to it.
Right.
But if you're a person who, is into the inclusivity and into like including everyone, go for it, babes. But yes, everyone, my name is Celine, aka Coach Baddie. Glad to be here, Weezy. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I'm just glad you're here. This is going to be a really good, really fun conversation. I mean, all the conversations are, y'all. I feel like old people can make every conversation's good. I know, but I just get excited every time. Okay, so before we get into like the thickness, the juiciness of it, sex with baddies.
Yes.
So this is the IG handle. This is the IG account. This is the brand, right? This is the energy.
Yes.
And I got to rewind and tell the people. I don't even remember how I first came across you, but, I don't know if it was someone had reposted or something, but I immediately was like, yes, yes, yes. Love this. Like, love the energy, love just everything that you talk about, the way that you exude, not only like your own, it's very clear, like your own self-love, but how like through your own self-love, like you love other people, like liberated sexuality, being fearless and talking about like how, we actually get to enjoy sex for pleasure and like our bodies and like just all of those things, right? And so obviously I was like, oh, gotta follow. And then just like, immediately was like, oh, I could be friends with this person. And so, thankfully like an IG, at least, relationship blossomed. Yes. And I just knew that I wanted to have this type of conversation. I have this conversation in different ways in a lot of different places, but I wanted to make sure that I brought you into the space to have and lead this conversation, because I think you do it in a way that not only is really liberated from a like sexual empowerment perspective and a pleasure perspective, but also a body, because you talk about it too, right? Like the body acceptance perspective of just like, look, this is the body you got. You better love all the way the fuck up on it. Like,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And that's super important. So can you tell us a little bit about like what birthed, sex with baddies? What is it? What's the ethos, like the why, like all of that?
Yeah.
The origin story, if you will.
Yes. So sex with baddies, ooh, it's my baby. But I birthed it, like it came out of me about 2 years ago. And it was something that I just did not know, like, what is this going to be? What is this? And, you know, first the name, like me, I'm really particular with names. Like, oh my gosh, what is it going to be? Like, oh my gosh. So I had this one YouTube video that I was basically telling people like, okay, you got to pack a perfect hoe bag when you're going out, you know. You got to have that whole bag because you got to have everything. Listen, Weezy, I'm not playing. You got to have everything.
No, it's true. That's why I'm laughing, because people are listening and like, y'all might not tell your friends, but everybody knows. Listen, I'll be honest. My trunk was always prepared and I drove everywhere. I was always a friend that was like, no, I'm taking my car. I was ready to go. Oh my God. He was not finna catch me slipping.
Never, never. And, you know, that's one thing I teach the baddies. Like, you know, don't get caught slipping. Like, you have your condoms, make sure they're not expired, check their condoms. There's been times where I've checked condoms and it's been expired. They pull out the condom. Oh, yeah, I got a condom. Dude, when's the last time you fucked? Because these condoms.
Or how about they didn't even know that it could expire?
And that is the main thing. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm educating the people. That's why I'm educating the people, because it's like, these are the things that you need to know. So, yeah, I had my whole bag. I told them, you know, everything that needs to be in there. You guys can check out that video if you want. But one of them was like, you know, bring us a nice scent that you like to wear. If you like to wear perfume or some essential oils, and, you know, like, name that baddie. Like, what type of baddie do you smell like? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I was just like trying to encourage them, you know, like get them pumped. And that word just kind of just stuck with me, because it was just like, you know, what is a baddie anyway? You Google baddie, what do you see? You know what I'm saying? You don't see a baby that looks like me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you don't see me. I want to be up there. When people say Google baddie, I want to be up there. And I want my community to be up there too, because my community is so much, it's all races, all ages. It's predominantly women, but then again, the whole gender thing is miscued. Like, yeah. So it's like, you know, that was the birth of the name. And I was like, well, I want it to be catchy. I want it to be like, when people see it, they'd be like, what is this? Like, what's Celine doing now? You know what I'm saying? Like, because sex with baddies, it sounds raunchy, right? There's tons of times where I get people wanting to look for people to have sex with. There's tons of DMs that I get like that. But then there's DMs of people who are, you know, in a marriage and, you know, want to spice it up, or they're, you know, they have their solo life and they want to like experience, you know, what the dating life is like, you know, like how to navigate that. Like, they really just want a friend to talk to. And because I get, you know, a lot of DMs like that, of people just really wanting a friend that's real, like really wanting that dope ass auntie. They want that dope ass auntie. And me now, you know, I have my coaching services, sexual confidence coaching, and I'm able to provide that to my people. And I'm literally like, it's my coaching services, because I do sexual confidence coaching and mindset coaching. My clients, we are talking like real ass, like we knew each other for a while, like. Just, they're so open with me. They're just like, Celine, I ain't gonna lie, let me tell you this. And I'm just like, look, what you about to tell me today? You know? So it's kind of like that type of, and, you know, I'm educating them. I'm giving them advice. I'm trying to help guide them, but really help them guide themselves. Mostly. So I kind of take that approach. I could talk about that for a long time, but we're gonna keep going.
But I think there's an important thing to name here, right? Because we live in a world, we live in a society that has taught us, especially for folks socialized female, to repress our sexuality. Right? To repress pleasure, to repress, you know, I a long time ago, I know this is a controversial one, but I a long time ago, like, you know, reclaimed the word hoe, HEAUX. Like, we all have an inner hoe. Like, that's just the reality, right? And to me, that's the part of us that wants to like play and explore and, you know, like see what we like and see what we don't like, and just like do all of those things from an embodied place, not from a like, what did my mama tell me? What did the church tell me? What's my daddy gonna say? What's my older brother gonna say? What are all the other people that, you know, I might date? Like, what would they think about my body count? Like, turning all of that off, just you know what I mean? Like, what feels good? Like, truly just like what feels good, right? Because that's part of liberation. And so I think what you're naming is really important, because what it is this like deep desire to have a space where someone can be like, Coach Baddie.
Right.
Let me tell you what I did last night. you know, because they know that you're providing that space where they can play in that without someone saying like, what is so-and-so going to think or say? Or like, don't you feel a kind of way? Or like, do you even know that person's last name? Or, you know, all of the things that come with it. You know, I think the second part of what you said that's really important that I don't want people to miss out on is like the whole bag is funny and also true, right? But it's about safety.
Yeah.
It's about preparedness. It's about making sure that you can play in your pleasure in a way that maintains your sovereignty and autonomy and like consent and again, like your own safety.
Right.
So it's about being prepared to be like, to let the whole play.
Right.
Right. And like those things are really important. We're not taught that. We don't have spaces to talk about that.
Exactly. And listen, and let the whole play. Yes, I love that wording because you feel more free, you feel more comfortable, you make better decisions. You start, you know, your instinct starts to like, you know, be there and you know, be attached to you. And it's just like you said, it's about safety and the whole bag is it's all about safety. Like if you got a little, I don't know how, if I should say this, but if you got a taser, if you got to bring your taser, bring your, you know, whatever you need to bring, you know.
I take my switchblade everywhere. Play with me if you want to.
Bring what you need to bring. You know what I'm saying? And then there's lube in there. There's lube in that whole bag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's vibrators in that whole bag just in case they don't want to listen to you and they don't want to do what you want. You I don't care. If they want to feel away, do better. I'm trying to tell you what I want and how I like it. Your ego is taking it as criticism. That's why I said closed mouths don't get fucked properly. Don't get fucked.
I mean, it's true, but I've never heard you say that. That's true. It's true.
Yes, me and my friend, we were talking one day and we're just like, you know what, closed mouths don't get fucked properly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can get fucked, but not properly, because if you're not expressing your pleasure and if you don't feel comfortable with expressing your pleasure, then it's gonna be a little difficult. That's why sexual confidence it also helps with your real life as well. Like that throat chakra for the people who know about the throat chakra and the energies. Yeah, that shit is real. Like that shit is real. So unless in my experience, it's real, you know. So you know, that's just what I do, Easy. That's just what I do. That's just me.
I know, and I love it, and that's why you're here. So I want to come back to what you just said about the confidence piece, because you told us, like, which is true, right? You Google Baddie, you were getting a very, very limited scope and view of what a quote unquote baddie is, depending on who's, you know, the hottest whoever in the moment on IG or what have you. But it's not inclusive of age, gender, you know, gender expression, body size, melanation. Like it's not at all inclusive. It's always very, very, very limited.
Right.
It's always still either Euro-centered and or like exotified, right? So like foreign, as you know, as they like to say, foreign looking.
Right.
And so, you know, for that to be the reality, we know that if you didn't grow up looking like that, you effectively were told like, you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not XYZ enough. And so in my view, even coming to a place in your adulthood where you're like, I'm bad as all of the fuck, right? When the whole world has told you opposite is in and of itself revolutionary, right? Like that is an act of revolution and liberation. So I want you to just talk to us a little bit about like, what does that mean from the baddie lens, right? So just like that personal empowerment and confidence and kind of like, how did you get there? What was your journey? How did that, and, you know, and how do you craft that for your people?
Right. Okay. So through the baddie lens, to me, it's just identifying different parts of yourself, identifying what you're good at, identifying some things that you can improve on, you know, working on that self-esteem, working on yourself, and understanding that as humans, we love to evolve. We love to be better. We love to be important. We love to be special. Cultivating that for yourself is important because you're going to be constantly seeking external validation. However, what's wrong with external validation? You know what I'm saying? If we have family members cheering us on, what's wrong with that? Let's stop demonizing external validation, right? However, you need internal validation as well. Yes.
Yeah.
You need both. Well, you don't need both, but both is desired, right? Both is, to be able to cheer yourself on is so important. And sometimes it hurts because sometimes you don't feel like you deserve it. Sometimes there's things that you feel like you could be better at. There's things, there's just all these things. And it's like, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be happy or not, bitch? Like, how do you chase that happiness? Dig deep in yourself. What makes you happy? What really, truly lights you up? Write those things down and do them. If you don't do them, you're going to continue complaining for the rest of your fucking life. Trust me. It's true.
No, it's true. It's very true. That's why I'm laughing, because I'm like, yeah. I mean, you named something really important that I always find so, like, it baffles me when I sit back and watch it. Like, we live in this like society where we pretend that we don't need and or want and or enjoy external validation. Like, fuck that. Tell me I'm pretty. Tell me I'm smart. Like, and I'm bringing this up because this is really controversial when I say this, right? I understand the push for folks to say, like, there's other ways that you can compliment young girls. We see that narrative a lot, right? There's other ways that you can compliment young girls outside of their physical looks.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right? Yeah, you're smart. You're fast. You're witty. You're funny. You're caring. You're whatever the case is. Absolutely. I would argue that we need to stop gendering the way in which we provide praise, because we actually do the same thing to individual socialized male, right? You're strong, you're handsome, you're this, that, the other. But that being said, I think it's actually really important to tell people all the time, yes, you're smart, you're funny, you're right, all your kind of characteristics, and you're beautiful. You shine so bright.
Right.
Like, yes, body, whatever body that is, right? Like, let them know that you see them, you appreciate them, you find beauty in the way that they literally, whatever that physical skin is that they're walking around in this world in, like, there's nothing wrong with that. And especially in a world that tells most of us all the time that we are exactly not pretty or beautiful or worthy or fit enough or whatever the thing is, I actually think it's really fucking important to make sure, especially young children, like, all the time, right? Like, do both. Why do we vilify the one? Like, why does it have to be, no, don't do that anymore. Just tell them about the characteristics. Do fucking both.
Right.
Do both.
Right.
It's so important.
Right. And I think it's the lying, the deception, they don't want to deceive. They don't want, I'm telling you, my mama said I was pretty, but as soon as I went to school, I was this, that, right? So, but that little child is going to grow up and is going to, turn into an adult. That's where all of the conditioning that you did as a mother or as a father or as a parent, guardian, that is when it really shows up. The frontal lobe is developing, you know what I'm saying? All this stuff is growing, things are making more sense. They have more life experience. They realize, you know what? I probably wasn't that cute when I was younger, but hello, puberty, that's a thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like makeup, these people are wearing, now there's makeup. So now, I can, fix myself up a little bit more or whatever. Now there's clothes to help express myself, because it's not the looks. It's really expressing yourself how you want to express yourself and that coming off authentic to you. It's not even about the looks, really. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I love that point. I love that point, because exactly, right? It's about like I make it a point with my 8-year-old niece, who's also my goddaughter, to let her know, like, I don't just say you're pretty. Like, I make sure to let her know, like, you shine so bright. Like, you're shining so bright today. Right. Like, your light is so bright today, right? Or if she does her hair in a cute way, because, at 8, you're starting to, like, kind of figure out, like, ooh, do I like my hair like this? Do I like my hair like that? Like, can I wear lip gloss? Whatever. That's, like, the phase she's in right now. She's gonna swag out her little outfits, But I'll be like, okay, girl, I see you with the matching shoes or the bread or whatever, right? Like, it's about validating that expression of self.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And so it doesn't actually matter. Man, listen, if I showed you childhood pictures, I was the most awkward, weird looking, big headed, like roly poly ass child. Like, I was. And that's okay. I was, because I was a child. We're supposed to be awkward and weird. Like, we're kind of supposed to look a little like aliens when we're right. That's how it works. But to that point, like, I had the raising unit around me that was constantly like, was validating my self-expression. Even in little ways of like, we were poor. We didn't have a lot of money. So I had exactly 2 pairs of shoes and like a couple pairs of socks. You better believe I turned those 2 pairs of shoes into 4. I would mismatch them. I would wear mismatched socks with them. My mom to this day is like, she still remembers parents calling her at home from school being like, can you tell your daughter to stop to wear shoes and socks that match, because now our kids want us to like buy more shoes for them so that they can do that. Because the kids also didn't realize I only had 2 pairs. Because then I'd mix it up with different colored socks, or, you know, it was the 80s. So like different colored leggings.
You finessed the system, girl.
I sure did. I was like, I might only have 4. Well, watch me work. Like,
watch me multiply.
But I say all of exactly. But I say all of that to say that's why now as an adult, I'm so grateful for the way that the people that were the village that raised me poured into me. Like, it didn't matter that I had a big ass head and, you know, maybe didn't, to your point, didn't have the clothes to like an array of clothes or, you know, anything to self-express. For what I was doing, for what felt good for me at a young age, like they were validating me. And that's why now as an adult, I'm like, tell me I'm not cute. I dare you.
Right.
Try it. Like, just try, you know, because I don't actually care. But at the same token, I still want my boyfriend to make sure that he tells me that I'm pretty at least once a day.
And like, isn't that just what you deserve? Some people, that's what
exactly.
That's what you deserve. Some people don't need that. Some people, and that's them. They need something else. Maybe they need, I don't know, something else. It could be anything.
Yeah.
You know, they have the love languages, and there's way much more love languages than, you know, the ones that we talk about. You know, there's always levels to shit.
The 5.
There's always levels to shit. So, you know, what level are you? And are you going to judge someone else for their level? Are you going to, you know what I'm saying? So, and judgment is a whole thing that I talk about too. I understand we all naturally judge sometimes. That's in our nature to, you know, put 2 and 2 together. That's for our safety. We can get to the animal kingdom. Hello. You know, as far as just judging someone like so hard to the point where you see your projections, sit the fuck down. If you notice your projections, like some people, they don't notice their projections. They don't notice that, hey, I'm judging this person because of my own problems. That's why we educate them. That's why we sometimes send them to therapy. Sometimes we coach them. We help them understand that they're projections. But once you have the awareness that you are projecting, you need to take a few steps back and just look at what did you just judge, you know, and just why. Because awareness is a big thing. If you are aware of something, then you can change something. You can shift it. You know, it's not like you're a child, you know, an unaware child. And some children, they be aware too. I ain't gonna lie. Some of them geniuses, man. I'd be like, damn.
Yo, this next generation especially, I feel like between obviously the internet and clearly a lot of other things, I'm just like, y'all are with the shits.
Yep.
You're 10. What do you know about socio-political realities? But like, you know, because they're paying attention, they're listening, they're engaged, they're active.
Yep.
They're super active. So let's talk about judgment a little bit, right? Because I feel like there's the judgment that we do to other people, but there's also the judgment that we do to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I feel like that is actually the one, I know for me, that's the one that historically, before I like embarked deeply in my healing journey, you know, and obviously it still comes up because you're never done healing. You never like perfect the thing.
Right.
But like that was the one for me that like I always got in my own way with my own judgment. Like I didn't care what other people said about. I'm like, you can say whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want about me because I know that like I stand firm in my integrity and my beliefs and how I treat people and blah, blah, blah. So that wasn't my problem. My problem was the way that I had internalized all those narratives and all that shit we were talking about and like how I talked to myself or how I viewed myself or, you know, all of those kinds of things. So like, how does that reality play into like, you know, ushering the butterfly into the baddie? You like that one?
I like that one. Okay, so it's just with self-judgment. Okay, so there's some people out there in the world who judges themselves for the betterment of themselves, right? They'll kind of, you know, it helps, it motivates them. It'll be like, you know, and for the astrology people out there, you know, Virgos they tend to do that, right? So, but you know, that judgment, it's internalized already because, you know, you're saying it to yourself, but it's the awareness that I was talking about again. It's disconnecting how you feel and this belief that's like floating. And it's like, you said it yourself, you have integrity, you're not fucking around with nobody. No one should be fucking around with me. Their opinion is shit to me, and you well understand that. So when it comes to those judgments, you need to face them. Is this real?
Mm-hmm.
Would a friend that know me and appreciates me, respects me, admires me, whatever the fuck, would they tell me this? You have to try to like look at it objectively as much as possible, like separate yourselves. And in my coaching, we tend to separate ourselves, right? So we have the ego.
Yeah.
We have the ego, right? That I call she-go. I know that's really like whatever, but it's okay.
It's cute. I like it.
Right. Is it the she-go talking? Because the ego, that one is going to be really hard to try to fight, because it's a battle within, right? It's a constant battle within. And so then we have baby baddie, right? So baby baddie is like your inner child. Is it your inner child speaking right now? Like separating, who is it? Who is trying to grab your attention, right? So once you can figure out and start like dissecting like who is trying to come through right now, then you could be like, okay, why? Then that's when the curiosity aspects come in. The curiosity, what is this judgment for? And with the ego, because the ego, people say, oh my God, the ego is this bad thing. No, the ego is also there to protect you. What is this judgment trying to do? Is it trying to protect me from something? Is it trying, what is it doing?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's just a fucking thought, Weezy. Sometimes you'll just have a thought and that shit goes away. Like, literally. Like, it'll just be a one judgment. And especially those judgments those judgments that you have on yourself, that's hella random.
Yeah.
You're like, where the fuck did you come from? Where did you come from?
Yeah, you'd be like, wait, what? We weren't even talking about that.
But we weren't even talking about that. Like that. And then once you start to build that, like, you have to catch them though. And, of course, that's what meditation, they're not pushing meditation because it's yes, it's a fad and going viral, but it also works.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Meditation.
It does. I
try to tell my people, meditation doesn't mean sitting in a well-lit room with aromatherapy and listening to a omen and singing kumbaya. Meditation is also breathing for 20 times out of the day, just breathing 20 times in and out, just breathing, just for a minute or however, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Taking a deep breath is a form of a meditation, resetting yourself, resetting the mind, the body, the soul. It's a quick reset, right? You need that. That also plays because and the reason why I'm saying that is because when you meditate, the practice of meditation is sitting there with no judgment, right? No judgment on nothing, no judgment on yourself, on the world. Just try to be as blank as possible. To get to that place of blankness, I don't know why I use that word, you have to give yourself permission to go through those thoughts and filter through those thoughts until you reach the point where you're like, oh shoot, I ain't really thinking about much, but what I'm talking about right now. you know? So you do that in your real life, right? When there's a judgment that come in, once you start that practice of meditation and becomes more internalized, you will know, okay, that's just a thought that's going to pass. I'm going to reach that point of where I'm no longer thinking about that thought. Continuously do that. And even the thoughts that are now turned into beliefs, they will then start to melt and go away as well with the practice, with the work. You got to do it consistently with compassion. It doesn't have to be every day. If you do it, if you skip a day or two, that's fine. But once you start to do that practice, things become natural. That's the problem with, nowadays. We don't understand the importance of ritual. We don't understand the importance of consistency and compassion, all those three in the same boat.
Yeah.
Then that's self-judgment, because you're going to forever judge yourself. That's just who we are as humans.
What we do as humans. Yeah. I like to tell my clients, like, your meditation is whatever practice that you use to come home to yourself.
Amen.
Like that, because I love that you said that, because I'm so tired, especially if you are from any sort of lineage that does practice some sort of like meditative practice, right? Like has a meditative practice.
Mm-hmm.
And you just like see it out here. And it's like, to your point, it's like, the votives and the oils and
right.
the like.
All that is beautiful though. Let's not get
and the sound. Exactly, it is creative vibe. Look, don't get me wrong, but I think it's important to expand it so that people understand when you're in the middle of a boardroom or a classroom or the bus, and you just need a moment. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. Like, the practice can happen, right? Like, if, to your point, if you're consistent, if it's a habit, like if it becomes a fully learned embodied behavior,
right?
You know, we don't talk about that enough, but I'm really glad you brought it up.
I was saying all of that also connects to sex as well. When you're going through all of that, when you're laying down with someone or whatever situation y'all in the car, the beach, the back of some truck, I don't fucking know. When you're with another human and you realize that you're in your head a lot, that meditation, that helps as well. Processing those thoughts, letting it go. And honestly, what really, really helps is you prioritizing your pleasure. You saying, I came here because I want to come, but not really. You don't have to come, okay? Not everyone, we already know that, okay? But I want to feel pleasure and come.
Yeah.
Fuck, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And when you get into that mindset, like, you know what, like, okay, and the reason why I'm able to speak on this very confidently is because even with my own right now, with the back surgery, I got diagnosed with something called cauda equina. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And basically, from my lower body is numb, right? So that includes genitals as well, right? And that's very devastating, Weezy. I had to relearn everything.
I was gonna say, like, let's talk about it, because I don't think people understand. Yeah. I don't think people understand.
Yeah, they don't understand. And it's a very rare condition. So the research out there isn't great.
Yeah.
And it saddens me every single day because I continuously compare myself to who I was before. So right now, that is something that I've been working on, is to stop comparing myself to myself. That's the hardest shit I've ever done. Yo, I didn't think I was going to be in this. I used to compare myself to other people. Now I'm comparing myself to the bad bitch that I was before, but I'm creating a new bad bitch. And I have to, I got to remember that and realize that. But it's hard because I'm going through a grief process right now. I lost a part of me, that meant the most to me. Come on, my name is Sex with Baddies, for crying out loud. That doesn't mean I was fucking. Literally for the whole time with Sex with Baddies, I wasn't doing much fucking. I wasn't. I was literally thinking about it. I was too focused on Sex with Baddies. I was not fucking. Wow. But, so I know. So now.
You blocking your own blessings for the people. Y'all are welcome.
Right. Y'all are so welcome. But, so now that, I'm getting into more sexual relations, and I'm noticing, because the sensation is, I don't have much sensation down there. The only way I'm going to really feel the sensation is if I practice mindfulness in the moment. Like, if I'm doing anything, I have to close my eyes and I have to literally feel everything that this person is trying to make me feel. I have to now tell my brain, because what's going on is they're touching me, right? I'm feeling a little bit of something, but my brain isn't picking up on those signals because the nerves are damaged,
Yeah.
So I have to now tell my brain, baby girl, this is pleasurable. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turned out, Weezy, that I actually did come. And I actually did orgasm. And I before this happened, it was difficult for me to reach an orgasm with a partner. I could do it on my own, but with a partner. But now, I can do it with a partner, and I'm just like, I could do it by myself now too. But I'm like, Celine, this is research worthy, baby. Can someone learn about this so they can help me understand what just happened? But it's all in the mind. That's what I'm trying to tell people. It's all in the mind, and that doesn't mean if it doesn't work the first time, that's okay. It's nothing supposed to work. It's just, what type of pleasure do you feel? Is it pleasurable? That's just it. We're trying to measure the pleasure. But once you start measuring and trying to figure out, does this even feel good? Dip into your body, feel what you're feeling, relax, and know that you own your pleasure. You deserve your pleasure, and you're about to feel it. It's coming. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I keep on saying
well,
Okay, go
But
ahead.
I mean, the other thing that I like to remind people of too is just that pleasure also gets to mean what you want it to.
Yes.
So in any given moment, like maybe what you needed was literally just the physical sensation of somebody's hands on your body. So maybe in that moment that was enough for you, you know, or like maybe it was a moment of closeness. Like, I don't know, I'm making things up, obviously. But it's like also even like expanding our narratives of like what is pleasure? Like it's not just, you know, genital stimulation to the point of orgasm.
Right.
And that's the other thing. We're like, we are so repressed overall as a society when it comes to sex that one, we don't even talk about it, but two, like we don't even have an imagination.
Right.
Like we think our imagination is like, oh, what's your fantasy? No, like we need to have more of an imagination than that around like, what do these things mean? Like, what does it really mean to play in the pleasure?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, you know, I think that's something that like obviously we all need to do at different times and different moments, and that's another way that we just like connect to ourselves.
Right.
It's like in this moment, like what does pleasure mean for me right now, today, with this person, in this moment, with myself, like, you know, whatever the case may be.
Right. For sure. Like there's pleasure in all things, and we have to remember that. Don't just make it only about, you know, only about sex or only about whatever you make it only about. But it's just so much more. And once you have to get into the practice of things. That's what I try to tell people. Get into the practice. It's it's practicality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. So that's why with my clients, you know, we're just consistently, you know, working on the mindset. Always mindset first. Like, what type of mindset are you in? Like, are you making your own decisions? Are you okay? Are you proud of that decision? Like, I'll be telling them like how you felt about that decision, even if it was a bad one. How'd you feel about it? You know, I was kind of doubting myself. Okay, like we start to dissect it. Like, all right, you're doubting yourself. Like, all right, are you aware? Are you aware of everything that happened and went on? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So are you going to continue to like beat up yourself, or are you going to continue to regret? Like, how do you plan to deal with this? Yeah, I know some of them now, you know, that's why I love them. They're like, yeah, you know, it's going to take about 3 days. And I'll be like, okay, you know yourself. Like, look at you, know yourself. Like, you know, so sometimes like I'll have to, you know, I don't always talk to them like that. But if they're going through something and they come into me with like, I made this mistake. And I'm like, it's not mistakes anymore. Like, you know, it's we learn from those. Those are not mistakes. Like, you know, like it's the learning lesson that we get from that so that we can teach ourselves, teach other people, you know, like just that's why I'm working on their mindset, especially with, you know, with language. You know, language is very embedded, you know, within our psyche. So certain things, like the first thing that I talk about with them is the whole like losing virginity thing. We try not to use that word because you really didn't lose anything. So, you know, and we just try to reframe certain things. I'm not that picky with language because I understand that it can be sometimes confusing because I feel like that's someone else's job. But I try the ones that I think is really, really important. I tend to be like, because they'll be like, I lost my virginity, and I'll be like, you had sex for the first time.
Right, you had your first sexual experience.
You had your first sexual experience, and then sexual is like that probably wasn't even their first sexual experience. Maybe they were scissoring their childhood best friend. Who fucking knows?
Shit, that's true. That we should say they had penetrative sex for the first time.
Right, and then
that's the most correct language.
Right, that's the most, and then I'm sure there's someone that can find a fault in that too.
Something with that,
whatever feels best to you. But we just try to refrain from the losing part, just so that I can instill in them, you're still whole, happy and whole, baby. Because literally after their first sexual experience, they're fine. Some of them regret it, some of them don't, because some of my clients are like, they're like older people. They're older and they still, you know, they're now coming out into their sexuality because society is now giving them a little bit more permission to do that, right? So thank God for media when it works for us.
Right, that part.
Okay,
so before we wrap up, what would you tell, like, what would your message be to a budding baddie? Like, they are starting out, maybe you're like, they're having thoughts about their own liberation and their own relationship to pleasure, and sexuality and their body and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And they, for whatever reason, they're either scared as shit to say it out loud, or
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, maybe they were raised up very in a, you know, in a certain kind of way that didn't allow them to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
But what would, like, if, you know, if you knew you could tell them something, what would you tell them?
Okay. I would say, what are you worth? I would ask them that. Like, what are you worth? And then let them answer the question, see what it is, and then what do you want to be worth? You know, start to develop more into that. Like, because, you know, we, like I said, we all want to move from point A to point B because that's the humans that we are. But if I ask you a question like, are you worth getting everything that you want? And if you say the answer is yes, then that's like music to my ears. Like, you're understanding that you are worth more. You deserve more. You deserve to feel pleasure. You deserve to set your boundaries for your own peace. You deserve those things. You know what I'm saying? It is not, you know, it's not just something. It's something that you deserve, your mind, your body, and your soul, all of them. Because they all connect. We're all connected. If someone come in, you know, your space and they say something weird, they do something weird, that's gonna affect you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why, and also that's also tied to how do you clear out negative energy, or how do you clear out stagnant energy that just doesn't work with you? How do you clear that out? You don't have to make it so spiritual, whatever, you know, some people are a little afraid of that, you know, but if you are a person who's, you know, spiritual or however the case, then learn more about it. Start to do research. Don't just think, I don't want to pull a Kim K, but because she's just like, what did she say?
What, last week?
Yeah.
We all just need to get up off of our asses and work harder.
Okay, that's fine. I have no opinion towards that. I literally don't, because I feel like if I was to say it, then hey, then bitch, y'all need to do it. Okay? Like, it's all about.
It's different if you say it though. There's nothing wrong with you saying it. You could say it because you put in work. She can't say that shit when you can't say that shit when you were born into multi-million dollars and fame and were literally handed most of the things. Like, you are hardworking, yes. Are you diligent and determined? I am not going to knock her hustle. Go ahead and get after it, girl. You are very hardworking. But you can't just vilify every single woman in the workplace and tell them that they are not as successful as you because they don't work hard enough. Ma'am, if my daddy was Robert Kardashian and was a highly successful lawyer, and my mama was Kris Jenner, and my stepdaddy, what's her name now?
Whoa, Kurt.
I don't like her as a human, so she's a Trump supporting. She's a literally queer, anti-queer Trump supporting human which baffles me. Mrs. Jenner.
Kris Jenner. Kris. I said
Caitlyn. No, Caitlyn. Caitlyn
okay.
Jenner.
Oh shit. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay.
See, go back to the beginning of the episode where I told you when I don't pay attention to things, I really don't be knowing. I'm like, you know, what's her name? Caitlyn. Because I don't mind her any business. Well, she let us know where she stands in a lot of things that I'm not aligned with. Also, she's anti-black as fuck. But anyways, right? Like,
there's a lot to unpack there.
That's right. But an Olympian. So anyways, I digress. But my point is, you can say whatever you want about doing the work because you've done the work.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
I had to.
And
you lit me up.
It's a platform, baby. It's a platform. Okay. All good. So basically, like, you got to put in that work for self-development, self-care, self-love. You may think that, I feel like it's becoming more mainstream. People are like, but it's like, no, like, it's becoming more mainstream because it needs to be. It's not because it's a, you know, I honestly, I just like when people say like, oh my God, like it's so viral now, or it's so like,
it's a fad.
And it's like, I understand the annoyance with it because it becomes washed out, but we want it to get there. We want to push. Yeah. Don't you want your word to be in everybody's? Don't you want everyone to be listening to your freaking podcast?
Right.
You know,
Right.
what you gonna say?
Yeah.
Oh, Wheezy. Oh yeah, Wheezy. I'm tired of her. Everyone I talk to listen to Wheezy. Like, damn, that's the point. You know, we're trying to spread
Sound like
something.
a hater.
Right. A hater. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, ask yourself, like, what are you worth? Are you worth all the things that you want? If so, put in the work, you know, and be compassionate to yourself. Put in the work, but
Hell yeah.
don't beat yourself up. The moment you beat yourself up a little bit, you're kind of like dialing down the momentum that you had to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, and always one last thing. Don't be afraid to reframe your self-judgment, your self-talk. Reframe it in the moment. If you say, damn, if you say something like, I don't know, give me a quick self-judgment or self-criticism.
Oh, I look super fat in these jeans.
It had to be physical.
I'm sorry. I said this because I had to have this conversation with my cousin this morning.
Mm-hmm. Really?
She was like, I look so fat in these jeans. That's why I came to mind. And I was like, no, mamas. No, you don't. Like, you look beautiful. You look amazing. Like,
right. Oh, and then it's that, oh my God, the body acceptance.
Exactly.
It's a whole thing.
Right. And so it's like, I mean, you know, I was like permission to talk to you like a coach, of course, because you got to ask for consent.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, what are you feeling about yourself right now? Like, why is it that you're focused on this? Like, what's actually underneath it? Like, you know, and obviously we got to something that had nothing to do with actually her physical appearance.
Right.
But because she was feeling a kind of way about other things, she was just finding anything. Mind you, she is very petite. Like, you would describe her as a petite human.
Okay. So it's whoa. It's very internal. Deep. It's deep.
Yes.
It's deep.
It's deep. But so that's why, like, to be clear, it's like a very real life example that literally just happened, like, on my way to boxing. I was on the phone. Right. And I was like, send me a picture. Like, so that's why it was physical. Sorry. We can edit it out and pick a new one if you want.
No. That's totally fine. But, you know, reframing physical things is more, it's harder to reframe when you judge yourself physically, because you really feel like you're lying to yourself. You really, because it's you believe it so much. So but like,
okay, I'll give you another one. I'm not that funny.
Sorry, I can't say. Okay, so if you're,
I'm fucking hilarious.
There we go. That's how you reword it. But like, if you say that you're not that funny, maybe you can reframe it in the moment and just say, like, you know what? Not everyone finds my humor, you know, funny. I find my humor funny on most days. And, you know, those are the days I'm going to remember when I find my humor. You know, what is that real good ass joke that I said? You know what I'm saying? Like, in that way, I'm sorry. I'm still laughing at you because you're just funny. Naturally. You're just naturally funny.
I know. I'm just kidding.
That's why you have a very successful podcast. People love you. People relate to you. You know, but you know,
I appreciate that.
In this world, there's people that love you. There's people that hate you.
Lord knows that's true, because I got plenty of both. I feel like I got more of the second. But to your point earlier, like about projections, like this is why I don't let people's judgment of me impact me, because I've gotten to a point where I realize, like, I've stirred something up in you. That's a you thing.
It is.
Right? You dislike me because you're projecting whatever it is onto me. Like, and I'm going to pray for your healing. That's my new phrase for everybody. I'm going to pray for your healing. I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah. For me, I just say, like, you know, I pray that they can gather up another perspective. That's
perspective.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, because it's all about, you know, their healing. I don't even know what they need to be healed through, but I know that they need another perspective.
Yeah.
And that will then promote their healing.
I mean, yeah, it is a cycle, because I do it the opposite way. I'm like, I don't know who hurt you, but you need a hug. You need some healing.
That's because you're very strong in your perspective, which I love. And
that is true.
You know, people gravitate towards that perspective. You know what I'm saying? But you're also, like, knowledgeable in all, you know, spans of life, kind of. But mostly because you're.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I can hear it. You know, you're not just thinking from one lens. You're trying to gather things, put it together, make it make sense, and then see the bullshit within it. So
Yep.
you're trying to like
That's what I've been since I was a child.
Right. Extract the bullshit and highlight it and make people understand this is why you feel like this. This is why you think like this. This is how the world is like this. It is not you. It is them. It is not you. It is that.
Right.
Sometimes
right.
it's you.
That's a them or that problem.
Right. Sometimes it may be you, but for the most part.
Oh, yeah. And let's be real. Sometimes it may be us. Sometimes it is me. Sometimes I am the thing. Yeah. I'd be like, I'm going to go handle that real quick. I'll be back. Right?
Am I the drama? Well, I literally have a tattoo that says dramatic. So it literally says dramatic, my tattoo.
I love it. It is on the arm, just above the elbow for people listening. I love that. All right. Before I let you go, is there anything else that you're like, I just need the budding baddies or the medium journeyed baddies, like people who are already on their path, like I just want to leave them with this gem or this reminder?
Be on the constant search for your authentic self. That's really it. I can go into it, but just constantly.
That's it.
You may think, some people may think they're very authentic and, I am a very authentic person, but I know there's sometimes in certain situations where I feel that I'm not authentic and I'm like, no, in this moment, I'm going to be on the search for my authentic self and just sit in that. That is where the confidence come in. That's where the self-assurance come in. And that's what like living in your truth. That's what it's relieving. It's freedom. Yeah. It's flying.
Yeah.
Let's.
Yeah. It's liberation.
It's liberation. That's it, folks.
All right. Well, Miss Celine, thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored that you chose to share your time and your energy and your light with me and my listeners. Y'all know the drill. All of the links and the handles and the important stuff will be in the show notes. Make sure to give Coach Baddie a follow. And if you find yourself, maybe you are a budding baddie. Maybe you didn't realize you were a budding baddie until you listened to this episode. Or maybe you've been on your baddie journey and you realize you just need a little bit more guidance or it's time to level up.
Yes.
Check out my girl. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Easy.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. Rate, review, subscribe, like, share this podcast with all of your peoples. Follow me on Instagram. And you can always join me in community over at Podia. Until next time.